Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. Each week I am joined, of course, by a very special guest. And this week we find ourselves in the hallowed portals of none other than Homeslice in the City of London, just near Cannon Street. I have a vested interest, I have to admit. It's mine. But my special guest here today is not necessarily here to eat pizza. And who are they, I hear you ask? Well, they celebrate 50 years in the business this year. They actually retire passports because they travel so much. And they are on book 31, which he is here to talk about. Will you please welcome the legend? Yes, the legend, and not a word I use lightly. That is Rick Stein. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Mark.
It's lovely to see you.
Very nice to
Thank you for coming here to our restaurant. I mean, I hope you will be trying our pizza later.
Well, I've heard so much about them.
I mean, I'm devastated you haven't had it yet, Rick. That's all I'm saying.
I'm looking forward to it.
I've had the good grace to go all the way to Padstow to eat in your restaurants, but no,
I know.
I'm in central London, not so much as a nibble on my pizzas. But you're here to talk about this fantastic new book, which is Food Stories, and this is book 31.
Yes. I mean, a lot of them are quite small books. I did
Well,
one
that's not
book-
small. That's another 100 recipes, Rick.
No, but the small one was, I think, called Fish and had 12 recipes in it. Because people...
When was that?
Because that was probably about, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Just a quick one on.
Yeah. It's called Fish.
That if we go back to the beginning, you were born in Oxfordshire.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Well, just outside Chipping Norton, which
You see, it's very fancy now.
No, Mark, in those days it was just a country town and not a lot of money around and not particularly pretty. I remember my parents were always a bit disparaging about it. But my fondest memory of Chipping Norton or Chippy was the Chippy in Chipping Norton.
Chippy and Chippy. Is it still there?
I don't know, it was in New Street because I remember listening to the Rolling Stones' early single called Come On.
Yeah.
In the
Chippy in
Chipping Norton.
You went to school. It wasn't necessarily a roaring success, which I can empathise with.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, boarding school, and I guess that this was the 60s, early 60s. And, you know, I like to say I'm part of the rock and roll generation. My brother is 6 years older than me, doesn't quite get rock and roll.
Really?
Yeah, he actually does, but people of his particular 6 years, it was sort of Johnny Ray to one of my best friends. Didn't really
Because it was that early rock and roll. It was,
it was
Ronnie Donegan's into Elvis Presley and that sort of thing.
Laurie Donegan, Rock Island Line, yeah,
Well,
there we go.
whereas
Skiffle with a bit of attitude.
But skiffle with attitude. Now, what I was disappointed was when I was growing up, I just missed punk.
Yeah,
I just missed punk, and sort of entered into the whole new romantic thing, which it wasn't for me. I didn't want to wear eyeliner. I didn't want to do that whole thing. I wanted to wear a ripped leather jacket, put a safety pin through my nose.
I can sympathise with you. You see, I just hit rock and roll. I hit Elvis, but to have missed punk, it's like missing Elvis.
No,
really.
absolutely it was. It's always been a slight, bit of devastation to me. But you're at school, and like me, I think you left what could only be described as unqualified.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, like many of us, the reason we ended up in hospitality was we didn't have any qualifications. And where do you get a job when you don't have any exams? It's a kitchen.
We don't want to disparage hospitality, but I remember...
Well, back then it was. When I started, which I suppose the first job I had in the kitchen was in 1987.
Yeah.
And it was still thieves, lunatics and drug addicts then.
Well... I just remember a friend of mine, Sam Harrison, who's got restaurants in London. Sam's
Sam's Riverside.
Yeah,
fantastic.
He said to me once he went to Eton, Sam.
Yeah,
and when he was in Eton, he used to be called a careers master at school, like you were the person that was in charge of kind of find a job for you. And he said, I want to go into catering. And the careers master said, Sam, nobody from Eton has ever gone into catering.
Well done, Sam, for bucking that trend. And I mean, to be fair, Tom Parker Bowles,
Yes.
who's been a guest on this, and we both know very well,
do.
he went to that school, or as they like to call it, school. Like there isn't any other schools that ever existed. I went to school, but
They're so up with themselves, aren't they? Just every time. I mean, I've got lots of friends who went to Eton, and I always feel the urge to send them up a bit.
yeah, you can't help it because it's like, you know, there's just there's a sort of whiff of arrogance that follows them wherever they go. I mean, not to say that they're not nice people, but it does instill a certain kind of mentality that is hard to shake off.
Yes.
I mean, and in some people it manifests very poorly. Boris Johnson, for example. But
Well, I just remember a D.H. Lawrence poem, something like the sneering Oxford voice. I can't remember if I've got the words, but it's the same thing, really. That sort of slight sort of...
intellectual snobbery.
Yes.
Yes. Which, you know, neither you or I suffer from or could claim.
Correct.
But I can't remember why I brought up Tom. No, but I mean, he's ended up eating for a living.
Yeah, what I love about Tom...
He writes as well.
He does write
And
rather
very
well,
well.
but what I love about him is he likes very ordinary food.
Yeah.
Maybe because he's a bit of a top. It's the sort of thing he does, but he genuinely does like...
He and I had a very challenging moment around the Carolina Reaper nacho.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the one who goes on about loving chilies and all that kind of thing.
It's
And,
like
you know,
really hot food.
well, I mean, this proved challenging for both of us, let me tell you about that. But I haven't got anything like that for you today.
Right.
And, you know, before you come on, obviously you fill out a questionnaire so we can establish your food loves, food hates, and a little
hard work that was, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you gave it some effort, though. I mean, some people it's one-word answers. They're like, oh, no, and don't like that. It's like, no, a little bit more. So I'm going to kick off with something here that you said you hate.
Right.
And I've got to take you to task on it because I can't agree with you, which is the humble marshmallow, in particular, Rocky Road.
Yes.
Now, what have you got against a marshmallow, Rick?
I just find it bland and boring and a sort of a way of using our egg whites, really.
Well,
And actually, you know, I mean, a lot of commercially made things are quite nice, but I've just always found chocolate marshmallows, I remember in childhood, it's just been like a very thin layer of chocolate on something really boring.
you wouldn't thank someone for a Tunnock's tea cake then?
No.
No, you see, I love those. But one of my family favourites, which I've made for you here. Oh, hold on, it's stuck to that. Let me get rid of that.
Well, that looks quite nice.
Oh, you see. And look, I hope you noticed that I have served it to you on Cornish ware.
Yes. Yes.
Which are the plates of my family. They are from my home.
Really?
We eat off those.
I just like the Cornish fare because it's so simple.
It's
you know.
great.
And it's
And it kind of pleasantly dresses food down. So if you put something incredibly sort of chic and or poncy on that plate, it just balances it all out. It's fine. You can eat a bit of foie gras off one of those.
Can I try one?
Yeah, so that is a schmore. So I actually, because we're here in the restaurant, I was able to wood roast the marshmallows in the wood-fired oven for you, and then pop them between two crackers. And these are I love these French Lou crackers, the Burcell ones. So they're a butter biscuit with just a little bit of salt in them.
Oh,
they're the perfect accompaniment.
Can I?
Yes, you please do.
Do I have to do the Rocky Road?
You don't have to do the rocket. I'm not going to force you to do it. It's sticky though, I warn you. We could probably do with some napkins. Are there any nearby? We are in a restaurant. Don't all jump at once.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
You know the French dish il flottant?
Yeah.
It tastes like il flottant,
Yep.
which is exactly what it is.
Well, because it's got the caramelization where normally you throw the spun sugar over the top of it.
Yes.
That you've got il flottant without any of the fat. And you've got the creamy buttery thing that you'd kind of almost get with the custard.
They are really good.
They're so good, those. They're not a dunker, just to be clear. They're not a biscuit to dunk.
No.
They're very delicate. They'll end up in the bottom of your tea like that. But I just think, marshmallows, I didn't, with the greatest of respect to your time in the industry and on this earth, Rick, I couldn't let you malign a marshmallow, because that's the whole thing. This podcast is, there's no such thing as a bad ingredient as long as you do the right thing with it.
Well, I think that's what you've done. I'm sorry, I'm just going to have a bit more.
He's having more. Yes. We have success.
It's extraordinarily nice. I still don't know that I like chocolate on it, though.
Well, no, some people like, they do a version of this biscuit with a bit of chocolate on it, but it just then becomes too claggy. Sorry, there are things going off in the background here, so excuse the noises.
I think it was just a commercial version, really, and I've never,
But it is very sticky, so you probably need one of those.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about is, so you finish school, you start with a nightclub.
Yes. This is a difficult part of my life. I could probably find it easier to explain any other part of my life, but a nightclub, right?
So roughly it's 1972, without giving away too much, you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand the attraction of thinking, I'm going to open a nightclub. But in Padstow, it's hardly a hotbed of nightlife at that stage.
Well, no, I mean, it's just extraordinary, really. I mean, why would there be a nightclub in Padstow? It's sort of really hard to explain. I mean, I've often said it's a bit like finding an opera house up the Amazon, in the 70s. But there was one there. I think it might have had something to do with money laundering or something like that. Heaven knows. We draw a veil over why it was there. And it was described, it's called the White House Club, and it was described as the most exclusive exclusive nightclub out of London's West End.
And did it live up to that moniker? Because it was mostly full of drunk fishermen, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I mean, it was. I mean, I took it over because I had a mobile disco called the Purple Tiger. And this is a bit I found very hard to explain why the Purple Tiger. Why would you come up with a name like that? But that's what I called it.
Okay.
And I wanted to find a sort of den for the Purple Tiger. So this nightclub, which was on sale relatively, I suppose, quite cheaply, really. I think it cost 65 or 75,000 for the whole building, like a 3-story ex-granary. And I wanted to sort of open a club and appeal to sort of early, like 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and play lovely music, disco music, and it all romantic and fun.
Because you do love your music.
I love my music.
Big passion of yours. Now, if we go, that nightclub then became the eponymous seafood restaurant, is it correct? In about 1975?
Yes. I mean, what happened was, and that's actually a Cornish comedian called Jethro who used to start his stories with, what happened was, we were at clubs, so it's supposed to sort of have people that, recommended you to come in the club, and you couldn't be a member unless you were recommended and seconded.
Right.
But we needed the money fast because we had no working capital, so we just let everybody in, right? Including not necessarily ne'er-do-wells, but a lot of local fishermen, right? Who, bearing in mind that the license in this early 70s went on till 1 o'clock in the morning, they weren't used to it. They weren't used to drinking till 1 o'clock at the rate of several pints per, maybe 5 pints, 10 pints per hour.
Very good for business, terrible for retaining your license.
Oh, it's funny. So they were just awful fights.
So were you DJ, bouncer?
Yeah, I was both DJ and bouncer, actually. And my bouncing capabilities were pretty bad, But I fancied myself as a bit of a knuckler, as the Aussies.
A bit of a knuckler?
Knuckler. But I was terrible at it.
Well, good. I mean, I always think of myself as more of a lover than a fighter.
Well,
yeah.
Subsequently, I would like to say I've joined you, but in those days, I thought I was armed.
Like to get stuck in. But that bit then became the restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's you sort of just threw yourself in and thought, well, I'm going to open a restaurant. I've got great sort of product just there, coming in a boat every day.
Yeah, and it never occurred to me. I mean, I did it because the police took away the license for the club because we weren't really running it very well. Me and my friend Johnny. So I just turned it into a restaurant, and there wasn't any sort of thought that actually this is local fish and it's it couldn't be fresher.
Yeah.
I just did it because that was what was there.
As it was there, and it was cheap because
It was also cheap, and plentiful.
Not anymore, though, is it?
No,
cheap.
not so plentiful anymore, are they?
Exactly. But that might have something to do with the French, but we won't say anything about that.
Well, if you ask any Cornish fisherman, it's got everything to do with fish. I'm not so sure myself, but there we go.
Yeah. But you were then, you slogged away at this restaurant for a long time. A lot of people think, oh, Rick Stein, he opened a restaurant, he was quite good at it, and someone came along and stuck a camera up his nose, and then he's had this career that went on forever. But you ran that restaurant for well over 10 years before anyone put a camera in.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot in the early days, we quite often, we had no customers overnight. And I ran it with my first wife, Jill, and there was just the two of us and a few local girls mostly in the kitchen in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had no aspirations for anything else. It was just trying to pay the bills.
But it was very much you learn on the job. You develop your skills on the job.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would say that probably the style of cooking and the menu 5 years on was markedly different.
Yes, and I mean, one of the ways that I did learn on the job was to actually employ people that were proper chefs.
Yes.
And then I'd ask them questions about how they did stuff, and what sort of equipment we needed. So it was very much, without those early chefs, I probably couldn't have done what we did.
But you were always a natural, able cook.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you couldn't boil water to begin with.
No, well, I mean,
Because it would have been a very strange idea to open a restaurant if that's it.
Well, your mum's a good cook, isn't she?
Yes, she was.
Well, there you
God
go.
rest her soul.
Yes. Well, my mum was too, God rest her soul. And I just think if you've got a mum that cooks and cooks well, you end up naturally picking up...
And that's where your sort of love of food was instilled in you.
Yeah.
And then you've gone on to do that in your own children because Jack has become an exceptional chef in his own right.
I just think it's hard to explain to people, and it sounds a bit, I don't know, up myself, but I think if you've got parents, and particularly a mother that just cooks all the time, and in those days, my mum cooked all the time because they cooked for the kids. I was one of five, so...
You've been running the restaurant for over 10 years, and then this bloke called Keith Floyd turns up and sticks a nose up your camera.
Yeah.
I mean, a camera up your nose even. Nose up your camera, how did I get there? And that was sort of the start of it, because a year later, David Pritchard, who was his producer and did all the Floyd on Foods and everything, offered you your own series.
Yeah, I mean, it was very lucky, really. I mean, I knew Keith sort of just because he used to come to Padstow or come to Port Isaac occasionally.
He wasn't a regular at the nightclub? Sounded like his bag.
No, it was rather sort of like his first wife actually came from Port Isaac, Doc Martin Port Isaac.
Yep.
And then I think he came down 2 or 3 times with his second wife, and that's where I got to know him. We went to the pub a bit, and it was always really... I never quite got this because the first time I started filming with him, it's become quite amusing that he called me Nick.
Yes.
Started by saying, "Hey Nick, what are we doing this morning?" Right? Was that a mistake easily made? And then he said, "Oh, Nick, Rick, you chefs are all 2 a penny."
It's a bit cruel. But he can't get away with it because
It's funny.
But isn't it funny that so many of the chefs, and particularly the chefs who cook on TV, and by chefs who cook on TV, I mean proper chefs who cook on TV.
Yeah.
Not a TV cook, if you see what I mean. There is a difference.
I've got the... Yeah.
But admire Floyd.
Yeah.
They love Floyd.
Yes.
And sort of how he cooked and the way he approached it. And it was, because it was very loose and sort of laissez-faire. And there is an element of your cooking style and presentation style that slightly emulates that. Would that be?
You know, once, Mark, he said to me, slightly irritated, he said, "You stole all my ideas," right? And at the time I said, "Oh, no, I did that. And then what I should have said was, yeah, I did. They're really good ideas, which they were. He sort of developed them with David Pitchard, who I worked with for 25 years. It was this sort of understanding of sort of blokish cooking, I suppose, that you didn't need to be like, I don't know, a Delia Smith or a Mary Berry. You could be a bit sort of like, slightly off the wall.
Well, I think, if I might be so bold, what you both had was a cooking style that appealed to both men and women. They both relate to what you were doing. It wasn't so fancy that you blokes like, ugh. And you were both nice avuncular men that people wanted to engage with.
Yeah, I think that's right. I guess the problem, the history of cookery programs, there's this sort of, I don't know, good housekeeping type. Stick to the recipes, make sure your ingredients are all the right quantities and that. And we just, we were sort of cooking from the seat of our pants sort of thing, really. It wasn't that a lot of the time we did know what we were doing.
It was a far cry from Fanny Craddock.
Yes.
Although, because of social media now, if you put in Fanny Craddock as a search thing into Instagram or TikTok, the stuff that gets thrown up would make you want to throw up.
Really?
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like
How terrible.
terrible the dishes were.
Yeah.
With the greatest respect to Lady Craddock.
Yeah.
She's a terrible cook.
I must have a look.
When you look at it, because I always used to say that the kind of, one of the most beautiful people to watch cook, certainly from his hands point of view, was Gary Rhodes.
He was so good.
When you watched his hands move around food, it was a beautiful thing to watch because it had such skill and natural kind of muscle memory to how it moved because it had been done so many times.
So right there, Mark, honestly.
And but then sometimes you didn't necessarily want the camera to pan up. But
Well, the thing about Gary was just obsessive, So if he'd turn up for a shoot, he'd be up at 2:00 in the morning doing the prep, and he wanted to do all the prep,
all himself.
But for me, that's what home economics.
I was like,
for,
I was saying this to Richard Corrigan once. His response was, "Oh, never trust a chef with a six-pack." No chance of you had anyone, Richard.
Is lovely, but I do agree with you. He was skillful. He was and it's really nice watching really skillful chefs work.
Just watching the hands. Whereas if you watch Fanny Craddock, it's a little slapdash now. But I mean, back then, even if you watch sort of the Galloping Gourmet and all those sort of things, I mean, I used to love the Galloping Gourmet when I was a kid.
I worked on his show once in Australia. Yes, and and he was a great guy. Really.
But I used to literally reenact it at home. I would cook dishes and invite the family to sort of come out of the audience.
That's what he bought with this.
Yeah, I would
actually
created it.
Fun.
Yeah,
it was because he used to bring wine. Excuse me. He used to bring wine into the studio, German wine, because that was all the rage in the 60s.
Bit of black Tower.
Black Tower.
Blue Nun. Yeah.
Which, interestingly, in the 60s, in Australia, with all that local wine, was all the rage.
Yeah, no.
And Mathias Rosé, of course.
Obviously, when you fill out the questionnaire, we ask you about your favourite drinks and whatever, and you said that your favourite, you said it was boring, which your favourite is a white Burgundy.
Yes.
And obviously we run on a shoestring budget, and I know the kind of white Burgundies you enjoy, so that's why we've got water today.
Yeah.
But I think you've earned the right to drink those kind of white Burgundies. Obviously your seafood restaurant is the one that you're originally known for. But you've now got, 8
Is it 8 restaurants?
About that, and they've got in
We've got some Petrock's Bistro,
Yeah.
Stein's Fish and Chips, the Cornish Arms, Rick Stein Falmouth, Rick Stein Winchester, Rick Stein Porthleven, Rick Stein Fistral, Rick Stein Sandbanks.
Porthleven and Falmouth went during COVID, sadly.
I know how those feel. I lost 3 restaurants because of COVID. Anyway, we're lucky enough to still have some.
Yes.
But then also you've taken yourself over to the other side of the world, to Australia,
Yeah.
and, you know, sort of laid down some quite significant roots there. Is that a place you've always loved? Because you've travelled everywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, I first went there when I was 19 for about a year and a half. So I got early memories, and it was a very different place then than it is now. It's become quite sort of urban, really. Whereas when I was first there, it was sort of it was a bit sort of frontierish, I suppose. Not really, but there was. It's
full of people with sunburn eating casseroles because they hadn't moved on.
Well, actually, some of them, and in my case, eating mince. They had mince, and not very nicely flavoured mince.
Hopefully not bobotie. That's all I'm saying.
Same thing.
Yeah. Terrible mince in hot condition.
Yes. But there was a sort of like, I don't know, it's one of the sort of like safest, most sort of law-abiding societies I can think of now. But in the early days, it's a bit, it's a bit sort of like, a bit wild.
Yeah.
And I just loved the freedom of it, really. And I came from a fairly sort of close-knit family, and to find myself on my own in a really fun, with English-speaking people that were very similar. The reason I went to Australia more than anywhere is because in the early 60s, the council in Cornwall started employing lifeguards from Australia because people getting drowned on the beaches too often,
And they're having a good time.
They were there having a good time, picking up all the local girls with their wonderful laconic ways and their suntan and their accent. I just thought, I want to go there, see what it's like.
I want a bit of that. I want to see if I can go there, turn into that, come back here and clean up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess I see you thinking. But you, as I said at the beginning, you travel so much that you just basically retire passports. They end up so full that you're like, I'm afraid I need another one.
I have had to do that.
You
must have too, man.
No, never. I don't. I haven't traveled. No one's travelled nearly as much as you. I mean, we do, because obviously Susan and I know you and the lovely Sass quite well, because we have a lot of mutual friends, and we follow Sass on Instagram, and it's every day we pick it up and go, oh, for God's sake, where are they now? Would these two stop? Do they ever stay at home?
I keep saying to her, look, everybody knows where we've been, Sass. It's, people seem to like it. And I keep saying, doesn't it look like it's sort of one-upmanship? People be envious. And she said, no, they like it,
But I think, but it is that thing. And I think, albeit because I know, I get an idea of the kind of person who reluctantly a kind of icon now status that you've achieved, that you've sort of fallen into that pantheon of people that everybody likes, nobody's got a problem with, and so they're just happy to see you having a nice time. And they, because you sort of throughout your career, what you've very gently done, I believe, is bring everyone along with you. It hasn't been like, I'm up here doing this and I'm very clever and aren't I great to be here? I quite like the fact that every so often we see you somewhere sweating profusely in linen, going, God, I'm not sure I want to eat this.
You know what? I mean, it's interesting what you're saying, because David, the director I work with and love to bits, we're in India, in Kerala, and I am sweating so bad in this little bungalow where we're cooking that I keep having to change my shirt, wash one, it dries very quickly. Yeah. And I said to David, look, I just can't go on like this. I mean, what are people going to say? I'm just covered in sweat. He just said, that's you, Rick.
But it is like, there's no denying it. It's obviously very hot where Rick is.
Yeah.
But that thing that whenever you're talking about food or talking about somewhere, definitely the viewer feels part of it. And I don't think and I think it's because it's not a conscious decision on your behalf to do it. It's just who you are.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel a bit pathetic sometimes, but I was just thinking when I was eating those grape nuts, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just thinking, I hope you like this as much as I do. So it's a sort of involuntary. I
was enormously pleased that you liked the schmores.
Oh, well, yeah, what do you call them?
Schmores.
Schmores.
I mean, my son will correct me because it is an Americanism. Oh, Dad, you don't say it like that.
Really?
That's how I'm saying it today. It'll probably change tomorrow. But it's S''MORES. Schmores. Schmores. But I think it is people, it's people who genuinely cook and genuinely love food. What they want to do is make people happy.
Yeah.
And discovering that you can do that with food is suddenly sort of something that you go, oh, that's exciting. I mean,
Well, it's sort of like, I've said this many times before, but my nephew is called Judge Jules. I've talked to him, and we both share this sort of enthusiasm of making other people happy. It was vicarious living, and I just think that restaurants, similarly to running a disco, is what you want to see.
I want a good time, and I want other people to have.
Yeah,
but it is that thing, and I think I've said this before. I think Johnny will tell me whether I have because he has to listen to everything that I say. Sure, he's a producer, but hospitality.
Yeah,
right. It's not a noun; it's a verb.
Right.
And it's misunderstood. It's like, and I think it does slightly come from Australia. It's like, I work in hospo.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you give hospitality.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that it's like, I work in hospitality.
Yeah.
Like, no, you give hospitality. And if you look at the Oxford English Dictionary definition of it, it says words like kindness, generosity, welcoming spirit, all of which I just think, I grew up in a family that if you came around to our house for something to eat, you had a good time, even if it was a bacon sandwich.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's the same in your house.
Well, it is, because it's this sort of pleasure in taking pleasure in giving pleasure to other people, really. And I mean, it's funny because we used to call it catering, but I think hospitality is a much better word.
It's a better word, but it is definitely, I feel it's a verb rather than...
Yeah, no, I get you. I will take this back to our people.
Take it back.
Say Mark Wogan says it's a verb,
not a noun.
Not a noun.
Yeah, you
get it. And they'll say why.
They'll say, oh, not him again. Can he shut up? Now, obviously, I enjoy giving pleasure, but obviously the other side to me is I have a slightly perverse dark side. So it's come to that point in proceedings, Rick.
I've heard about this.
Where I'm going to ask you to don the spooning blindfold.
Okay.
And it is time for your first spoon, Rick.
Okay, what's happening now then? I will put them on, and I've got my eyes shut in case I cheat.
Right, so I'm going to bring in the spoon, and I will feed it to you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Right.
So here is the first spoon. I'm putting it down.
You're not telling me anything about it.
I'm not telling you anything about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feed it to you, and I want you to describe flavors, textures, all that sort of thing, what it is you think it is. It's quite a big mouthful, Rick, so open wide. There we go. Tell me, what have you got there? Hold on, it's not a good face.
No.
Tell me, are we enjoying it, Rick?
No, it's nice. It's sort of slightly cheesecakey. It's got some sort of
yes.
Cheesecake.
Yes. We're on the right.
It's got some sort of I don't know, bran or some flaky element in there, some cereal element.
No, it's none of that. No, take it off. Let's have a look at this.
And also, it's flavoured with.
Yes. Flavoured with.
I was going to say almonds, but it's not almonds.
It's not almonds.
A sherry.
No.
Okay.
Whip it off, because you said your least favourite drink in the world was Bailey's. Right.
Well, I'm
now this is a family business. That is one of my wife's Basque Bailey's cheesecakes. There.
So I got a cheesecake.
You got the cheesecake.
That's the flaky element. Is the top to it.
The top to it.
It's very nice.
Good.
And the
Good
Baileys,
textures.
the Baileys, yeah, I said sherry, but what I was tasting is there's some sort of liquor in there. But I didn't do too bad.
No, you did very well.
And actually, I much prefer a baked cheesecake to the one with the ginger biscuit.
No. I'm not interested in a set cheesecake. I only want baked.
Is that Susan's?
And that my wife is the absolute goddess of cheesecakes.
That is really nice.
She's actually started selling them in the local butchers. If you are in the Marlow area, the Meat Hook on Spire Street sells my wife's cheesecakes.
It's very nice. And okay.
Rick Stein says they're very nice.
So, tell me this about Baileys. Somebody told me once that Diageo, who make Baileys, bought a milk producing company in Ireland, and I can't remember why they needed to sort of shift a lot of milk, a lot of cream, but they also owned, I don't know which of the Irish whiskey distillers they own, probably all of them, but let's say it's Bushmills.
Everything's going to be fun.
Put it together,
Yeah.
cream, Bushmills, we got a product.
It's very popular. Tell me about this book.
Right.
So the series that accompanies this book is now available on the iPlayer.
Yes.
And you are now 50 years in the industry. And what is it now? I'm trying to do the maths. 1, 2, 3. You're 35 years on TV and 31 books in. Do you ever feel like stopping?
It seems a bit silly, doesn't it? But I just love it.
Still and enjoying doing it.
I do.
Because this book is great. The food stories is great. And each one has a kind of literally lovely reason
for doing that.
Yeah, I like a recipe with a reason.
Well, I mean, the simple reason is that, virtually any recipe you can get on the internet now.
Yeah.
So you've got to write a book where the recipes actually mean something to you.
He was saying something the other day. Like, do you know what something about the 3 most searched things on the internet? One is, how much is Elon Musk worth?
Right.
The other is probably a question about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And then the third one is whatever recipe.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, those, could we not have the kind of Rick Stein sort of recipe bank online?
You mean online? I was thinking of doing it really, because a lot of those sort of TikTok, it works really well, but they're not proper recipes. It's just, they're done so quickly, presumably because of people's attention span gets ever shorter. But I think it's a case for sort of actually saying how to do something.
And why?
Yeah.
But also, and why? What I like about this is the story behind each recipe. And I think it's testament to your following and how you're viewed is that you still sell a lot of books. When you bring a book out, people want a book. They don't want to go,
love it.
Well, I'll wait for it to appear online. I mean, I remember Jamie Oliver getting very upset because I think a while ago one of his books got the PDF of one of his books disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
And it appeared.
Yes, I remember.
The whole thing before it got released.
Yeah.
And you can understand why he gets upset by that. But strange, it didn't seem to affect book sales because people just...
Well, I think people like books. I mean, look at the way bookshops, independent bookshops are all doing so well. Because suddenly people have realised that actually a book is something, you can give as a present to somebody.
Yep.
You can't give a subscription to Kindle as a present. It's not very imaginative.
I don't want a Kindle, ever. I want a book. And I do drive Susan mad with my book collection, particularly the recipe book collection. Because she's like, but you never look at them all. I said, I do, up on the shelves. And they give me great comfort. But that thing of just occasionally you go, I remember that one in that book.
Yeah.
And then you'll be flicking through that book.
It's really good when you go through it and your memories start coming.
But even things like, the silver spoon or all the way through to, when I first moved out of home, Mum gave me, do you remember all those Australian weekly
Women's Australia really good,
because all the recipes worked.
They did. I met one of the writers of those books actually. I mean, they were thoroughly good news.
Susan was like, when we were moving house recently, recently I say about 4 years ago, she was like, do you not want to throw away all these old magazines?
Yeah.
No, you absolutely leave them away. She wants to then put them in a ring binder and put them in a folder and do all that. I was just like, no, just leave them on the shelf.
Well, it's just those. Can you remember those Time Life series? They're still in my kitchen.
I love all of those.
Because it's sort of memories apart from anything.
Well, they're also,
What memories can you get out of a computer with you know?
but also that they're a point in our respective culinary journeys, or just food journey, Ponzi culinary. It's just like, oh, at that point I was reading those books and doing that.
Yeah.
And, I don't have all 31 of your books, but I've got a good 10 of them because, when you wanted to kind of essentially know how to cook fish, your book was the one that you went to. And what would Rick do? But what I like about this one is the stories, and it's kind of, like you say, it's a bit more engaging than just going, I need a tabbouleh recipe, BBC Good Food, which is a very good website and great as a kind of reference point for people cooking. But I'm just a bit more involved in it.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of, particularly women, say to me that they read cookbooks when they go to bed, right? And I'm thinking, well, surely they can't be interested in just a recipe. So, and I like writing, so I do write. I do lots of writing in the book, not just.
Do you think there's a novel soon, Rick? Is there?
Well, I don't know. I'm not very good at plots, but I did one autobiography, and Sass says I ought to do another, and I said, well,
Well, how long ago was the original autobiography? Was how many years?
It's about 15 years ago, I think.
Quite a lot's happened since then, Rick.
Well, it's a good point, a really good point, and I might have a go at it.
Well, talking of points, we've reached that point where I have to give you your second spoon.
Oh right, is this another?
It's another blindfold for you, I'm afraid, Rick.
Okay. I got this on the right way. Right.
There we go.
Mouth open.
There we go. Here we go. Your second and final spoon is coming in now. And here we go. Open wide. Open wide. There we go. Take the whole thing. There we go. Now, what have you got there? Tell me. What can you taste? What are you experiencing?
That's hard.
Is it delicious? Because I cooked it, Rick.
It's nice. It's really
Yeah, good.
nice.
And we're going to hear.
There's some meat and a lot of cereal. I mean, like,
You get any particular flavors, spices?
there's quite a lot of spice in it, sort of, but not quite muted spice. It's very nicely seasoned.
Thank you.
It's probably some sort of chopped meat or mince.
Have a look. I've got a whole one in. Yep. Off with the mask. It's your arancini with the Nduja recipe out of your book. And what I loved about this was that, yes, what a lot of people don't, because when we talk about arancini balls, we're used to going into quite a nice Italian restaurant, or maybe even an Ivy cafe somewhere, and you get little arancini balls like that. That's what Italians eat arancini balls. They're, like you say, they're tennis balls size, and they're like the Italian version of a Cornish pasty.
Yeah.
Which you explain in the book, and it's like, so part of my reason for wanting to cook it was obviously the way you recognised your own recipe, and also to show people the story behind it, which is, arancini aren't little like, oh, would another arancini? It's like, no, if you have an arancini, you have in one.
Well, I got the original recipe from a place in Palermo. They sold loads at lunchtime, really. It's a bit like a pasty.
Yes, it is. Well, you could sort of put anything in the middle of it. Your ones have Nduja, which I love, with a bit of mozzarella and fresh basil and that kind of thing. But it's one of those things is once you've cooked off the rice, you can come back and make those as you want.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, Rick, I think there's a business in this.
Does anybody do it in London, really?
No, I think we can think about Mark and Rick's balls as a sort of fast food
working title.
Yeah, working title. as a fast food outlet. This time next year, Rodney will be millionaires. But Rick, I want to thank you for taking part.
No, it's been a total delight.
I want to say that this book is, as is with all your books, they're great, and this one is good. And as I said, the show's available on iPlayer now, if you want to see him cooking them in real life. The restaurant is filling up now, so it's probably time for us to go. But as I said, thank you to Rick, and long may you continue doing what you do, Rick, and long may we continue to be friends. That is all for this week. Next week, I will, of course, be joined by another very special guest. But until then, search Spooning with Mark Wogan across all your socials. Have a look at what we're doing. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, and we're on YouTube. And I would like you all to stay very, very beautiful.